The photograph was 80 years old. Black and white. Faded. Worn from decades of handling. A young woman holding a baby. Smiling despite everything. It was 1944, Germany, war everywhere. On the back, handwritten in German. Komm zurück zu uns, main labeling. Greta und Klaus. Come back to us, my darling. Greta and Klaus. This photograph changed 2 lives in June 1944. Private Thomas Walsh, 19 years old, American infantry, aimed his rifle at a wounded German soldier in the ruins of a French village days after D-Day. Easy shot. Enemy combatant. Do your duty. But as Thomas's finger touched the trigger, the photograph fell from the German soldier's pocket. Landed in the mud. Thomas picked it up. Saw the woman. The baby. Saw the handwriting. And looked at the German soldier, 17 years old, bleeding, crying, terrified. Not a monster. A kid. A husband. A father. Thomas lowered his rifle. And 80 years later, that decision would bring 2 families together across an ocean. Because in 2025, a photojournalist named Emily Schneider walked into a veteran's home in Portland, Oregon. She was photographing forgotten World War II veterans, preserving their stories. And when she entered room 312 to interview Thomas Walsh, 100 years old, no family, no visitors, she had no idea she was about to find the man her family had been searching for since her grandfather died in 2010. The man who, 80 years ago, saw a photograph fall in the mud and chose mercy over duty. The man who gave her grandfather a life and gave Emily and 52 other family members their existence. Thomas kept the photograph for 80 years. Emily carried a copy in her wallet. And when they both realized, when the same photograph appeared in the same room 80 years later, everything changed. December 2025. Riverside Veterans Home. Portland, Oregon. Emily Schneider was 28 years old and exhausted. 6 months into her Forgotten Heroes project, photographing and interviewing elderly World War II veterans with no family visitors, preserving their stories before time erased them. The project was personal. Her grandfather, Klaus Schneider, had died in 2010 in Bavaria, Germany. His last words haunted Emily. Find Thomas, the American who didn't shoot. Tell him thank you. For 15 years, Emily's family searched. Private investigators, military archives, veteran organizations. They knew Thomas was from Iowa. Infantry. Normandy. That was it. Thousands of Thomases fit that description. Emily didn't tell veterans' homes about her search. Just said she was documenting forgotten heroes. But every interview she hoped. Maybe this one. Maybe today. The director at Riverside said, Room 312. Thomas Walsh. 100 years old. Normandy survivor. But no visitors. Ever. Not in 30 years. Emily knocked. Mr. Walsh? I'm Emily Schneider. I'm a photojournalist working on a project about World War II veterans. Would you be willing to talk to me? Thomas Walsh sat by the window. 100 years old. Thin. Fragile. But his eyes were sharp. The walls were covered in photographs, black and white images from 1944. Medals in frames. A lifetime ago. You want to hear about the war? Thomas asked. Everyone who cared is dead. I care, Emily said. Your stories matter. Thomas studied her. Then nodded. All right. Sit down. If you believe in mercy that echoes across generations, in enemies who become brothers, and in the power of one photograph to connect 2 families 80 years apart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Echoes of Courage, and share this story. Because sometimes the people we save become the family we never knew we had. June 1944. Normandy, France. 8 days after D-Day. Private Thomas Walsh was 19 years old and had been in France for 5 days. He'd already seen more death than most people see in a lifetime. D-Day +8. The fighting was still brutal. Germans dug in. Americans pushing forward. Villages destroyed. Bodies everywhere. Night patrol. Thomas alone through the ruins of a French village. Buildings bombed to rubble. No civilians left. Just soldiers. Dead and alive. Thomas heard movement. Spun around. Raised his M1 Garand rifle. German soldier. Wounded. Leg bleeding. Maybe 18 years old. Alone. Thomas aimed. Center mass. Textbook shot. 20 feet. Couldn't miss. The German soldier looked at Thomas. And started crying. Not angry. Not defiant. Just terrified. Thomas's finger touched the trigger. This was war. This was duty. Kill or be killed. Then something fell from the German soldier's jacket pocket. Landed in the mud. A photograph. Thomas kept his rifle raised. Eyes on the German. But he saw the photograph. Face up in the mud. A woman. Young. Beautiful. Holding a baby. Smiling. The German soldier saw it too. Reached toward it desperately. Bit nicked Skiason. Please don't shoot. Thomas's rifle didn't waver. But his eyes went to the photograph. Then back to the German soldier. A kid. Crying. Bleeding. Terrified. Thomas made a decision that would haunt him for 80 years. He lowered his rifle. Do you speak English? The German soldier stared. Disbelief. A little. I surrender. Please. I have a son. Baby. Please. Thomas picked up the photograph. Looked at it closely. The woman. The baby. On the back, handwritten in German. Komm zurück zu uns, mein Liebling. Greta und Klaus. Your wife? Thomas asked. Ja, yes. Greta. And my son. Klaus. Baby Klaus. I never met him. He was born when I was in training. I have never seen my son. Thomas looked at the photograph. Then at the German soldier. 17. Maybe. A kid forced into a uniform. Married. Father. Just wanted to go home. Like Thomas. Farm boy from Iowa. Forced into war. Just wanted to survive. What's your name? Klaus. Klaus Schneider. I am from Bavaria. Small farm. I do not want to fight. Please. I surrender. Thomas should shoot him. Or march him to command. Pow. That was protocol. But Thomas was exhausted. Exhausted from killing. From watching friends die. From being scared every second. And this German soldier, Klaus, wasn't a Nazi monster. He was a terrified kid who wanted to meet his baby. Listen, Thomas said. We're going to hide. Tonight. Until morning. Then I'll help you surrender. To officers. Not frontline soldiers. Officers mean POW camp. Frontline soldiers mean bullet. Understand? Klaus nodded frantically. Ja, yes. Thank you. Thank you. They hid in a bombed-out farmhouse. Stone walls half collapsed. Roof gone. But concealed. And for 3 days, as American lines advanced around them, Thomas Walsh and Klaus Schneider became brothers. Thomas shared his rations. K-rations. Crackers. Canned meat. Klaus hadn't eaten in 2 days. They talked. Broken English. Some German Thomas picked up. Mostly gestures and shared exhaustion. Klaus was 17. Conscripted 6 months earlier. Married Greta 2 weeks before deployment. She was 18. Pregnant. Klaus shipped out. Baby born 3 months later. Klaus never met him. I want to be farmer, Klaus said. Like my father. Like his father. Grow wheat. Apples. Simple life. But war. Thomas understood. He was from Iowa. Farm family. 4 generations. Corn. Livestock. Simple life. Then Pearl Harbor. Then war. After the war, Thomas said, you go back to your farm. You meet your son. You teach him to grow apples. And you tell him his father survived because an American farm boy was too tired to pull a trigger. Klaus looked at Thomas. Tears forming. You gave me life. I never forget. You meet my family. After war. Promise. Promise, Thomas lied. Because Thomas knew, Klaus would go to a POW camp. Maybe survive. Maybe not. They'd never see each other again. On the 3rd day, American lines advanced close enough. Thomas helped Klaus surrender properly. Officers. Paperwork. POW transport to England. Before they took Klaus away, he grabbed Thomas's hand. Pressed the photograph into it. You keep, Klaus said. You gave me back to my family. You meet them someday. I promise. Thomas never saw Klaus Schneider again. 1945 to 2025. 80 years. Thomas returned to Iowa in 1945. Married Betty. Had 3 children. Worked the farm. But the war stayed with him. PTSD, though they called it shell shock back then and offered no treatment. Nightmares. Drinking. Emotional walls. Thomas was a difficult father. Distant. Angry. His kids grew up. Moved away. Rare visits. Strained relationships. Betty died in 1995. Heart attack. Thomas alone on the farm for 10 years. Then too old to manage it. Sold. Moved to Veterans Home in 2005. 20 years at Riverside. No visitors. His children were alive. Thomas knew that. Grandchildren existed somewhere. But bridges burned decades ago. They didn't come. Thomas didn't blame them. He kept 2 things from his life. His wedding ring. And Klaus's photograph. Thomas wondered, sometimes. Did Klaus make it home? Did he meet his son? Did he grow apples? Thomas tried to find out. 1950s, wrote letters to German government. No response. Cold War made it impossible. 1960s, tried again. Nothing. Eventually gave up. Assumed Klaus died. In a camp. Or going home. War killed millions. Thomas spent 30 years in room 312. Watching other veterans get visitors. Grandchildren. Great-grandchildren. Laughter. Family. Thomas got silence. The staff pitied him. The man survived Normandy, but never came home. December 2025. The interview. Emily set up her camera. Mr. Walsh, can you tell me about Normandy? Thomas talked about D-Day +8. The village. The patrol. And then he paused. You want to know the truth about war? Thomas asked. War isn't about the people you kill. It's about the ones you don't. And live with it forever. What do you mean? Thomas stood slowly. Walked to his dresser. Pulled out a photograph. Handed it to Emily. Black and white. Faded. A young woman holding a baby. June 12, 1944, Thomas said. Night patrol. I found a wounded German soldier. 17 years old. I aimed my rifle. And this photograph fell out of his pocket. His wife. His baby son. He'd never met the baby. And I couldn't pull the trigger. I was 19. He was 17. We were both just kids who wanted to go home. Thomas's voice broke. His name was Klaus Schneider. From Bavaria. I hid him for 3 days. Helped him surrender safely. He gave me this photograph. Said I'd meet his family someday. I never saw him again. Never knew what happened to him. I kept the photograph for 80 years. Wondered if he made it home. If he met his son. I'll never know. Emily's hands started shaking. Heart pounding. She reached into her bag, pulled out her wallet, opened it, and showed Thomas a photograph. The same photograph. Same woman. Same baby. Same handwriting on back. Thomas stared. Couldn't speak. "Mr. Walsh," Emily said, tears streaming. "My name is Emily Schneider. Klaus Schneider was my grandfather. And my family has been searching for you for 15 years. Before we continue, pause and comment below. Have you ever discovered a family connection you didn't know existed? A hidden story that changed everything? Share it here." Thomas's legs gave out. He sat, stared at Emily, at the photograph. Klaus. Klaus made it home. "Yes," Emily said, crying. "He was released from a POW camp in England in 1946. Returned to Bavaria. Found his wife Greta. Met his son, little Klaus, for the first time. He was 2 years old. He met his son," Thomas whispered. "He had 3 children. 8 grandchildren. 15 great-grandchildren. I'm one of them. My grandfather lived to age 83. He died in 2010. But Mr. Walsh, he spent 60 years trying to find you." Thomas couldn't breathe. He hired private investigators in the 1980s. Searched American military records. Wrote letters to veteran organizations across the U.S. He only knew your first name, Thomas, and that you were from Iowa. Infantry. Normandy. But there were thousands of you. He never found you. Emily pulled out her phone. Showed Thomas photographs. "This is my grandfather at age 80. These are his children. These are his grandchildren. These are his great-grandchildren. 53 people across 4 generations." Thomas stared at the photos. An old man, Klaus, 83, surrounded by family. Children. Grandchildren. Smiling. Happy. Alive. "All because you didn't pull the trigger," Emily said. "Mr. Walsh, my grandfather's last words before he died. I was there. He looked at us and said, 'Find Thomas. The American who didn't shoot. Tell him thank you. Tell him he gave me a life.' We've been searching ever since. And I came here for a project about forgotten veterans, and found you." Thomas broke down completely. 80 years. He'd saved a boy. Wondered every day if it mattered. If Klaus survived. If the mercy meant anything. And Klaus had a whole life. A family. 53 people who existed because Thomas didn't pull a trigger. "I thought I was forgotten," Thomas whispered. "I thought nothing I did mattered." "You gave my grandfather 66 years, Emily said. "You gave him a chance to be a father. A grandfather. You gave all of us life. And we've been looking for you to say thank you." 2 weeks later, Emily wrote the story. Published it online. Within hours, it went viral. International news. World War II veteran finds family of German soldier he saved 80 years ago. German press picked it up. BBC. CNN. Mercy in Normandy. Families united across 80 years. Emily's family in Germany, the Schneiders, reached out immediately. Klaus's son, now 79 years old. "Please. Bring Thomas to Bavaria. Let us thank him." 2 weeks later, Thomas Walsh boarded a plane for the first time in 30 years. Emily accompanied him. Munich Airport. Thomas walked slowly through arrivals. And stopped. 50 people waiting. Holding signs in English and German. "Thank you, Thomas. Danke, Thomas." American and German flags together. Klaus's eldest son, 79 years old, approached Thomas. Tears streaming. "You gave me my father. I met him because you didn't shoot. Thank you." The entire Schneider family, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, surrounded Thomas. Hugging him. crying, thanking him in broken English and German. Thomas, who'd had no visitors for 30 years, was now surrounded by 53 people who owed him everything. Bavaria held a ceremony. Small town where Klaus had lived. American and German flags side by side. Church packed. Thomas given the Bundesverdienstkreuz, German Federal Cross of Merit, highest civilian honor Germany awards. Klaus's son gave a speech. Thomas Walsh showed mercy when the world showed none. He gave us our father, our grandfather, our family. He is our hero. And then, Thomas's American family appeared. His children, his grandchildren. They'd seen the news. Flown to Germany. His daughter, 70 years old, approached crying. Dad, I'm so sorry. We didn't know. We didn't know you were a hero. We didn't know you carried this alone. I'm so sorry we weren't there. Thomas held her. I wasn't a hero. I was a scared kid who couldn't kill another scared kid. That's exactly what makes you a hero, Klaus's son said. They took Thomas to Klaus's grave. Small cemetery. Bavarian countryside. Snow on the ground. Headstone, Klaus Schneider, 1927 to 2010. Geliebter Ehemann, Vater, Großvater. Beloved husband, father, grandfather. Thomas knelt. Placed a small American flag beside the grave. Spoke through tears. Klaus, brother, I found your family. They're beautiful. You made it home. You met your son. You had a whole life. I'm so glad. Thank you for the photograph. It saved us both. Rest easy, brother. Your family remembers you. And they know what you did for me too. Emily stood behind Thomas. Lifted her camera. And took a photograph. 100-year-old American veteran kneeling at the grave of a 17-year-old German soldier he saved 80 years ago. Surrounded by 53 family members who existed because of mercy. That photograph won World Press Photo of the year 2025. Title: The Photograph That Ended a War. Epilogue: Thomas returned to America. But room 312 was no longer empty. Weekly video calls with the Schneider family in Germany. His American grandchildren visiting regularly. Letters. Photos. Love. At 100 years old, Thomas Walsh was finally home. He lived 2 more years. Died peacefully in 2027, age 102. At his funeral, his American family. And 15 members of the Schneider family who flew from Germany. Klaus's son gave the eulogy. Thomas didn't just save my father. He saved all of us. 53 people owe their existence to one moment of mercy. And he taught us, in war's darkest hour, one decision can echo across a century. Thank you, Thomas. Rest with my father. Brothers forever. Thomas was buried with military honors. In his coffin, by his request, the photograph, Klaus, Greta, and baby, finally returned. 2 photographs, carried for 80 years, by the man who saved a life, and the granddaughter of the man whose life was saved. Both searching, neither knowing, until they met. And the photograph, faded, worn, 80 years old, brought 2 families together. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Echoes of Courage, and share it with someone who needs to know that mercy matters. Leave a comment. Do you have a family story that spans generations? A connection you discovered? Honor it here. Thank you for watching. And to every veteran reading this, your mercy matters. Your humanity matters. The lives you saved, and the lives you chose not to take, echo forever. You are not forgotten.